Hello, good day everyone. So welcome back to Jobrin Serrera, the Free Mind. So thank you so much for watching all my videos, for supporting, for subscribing to all my videos. Okay, so for today's vlog is I'll be explaining to you our lesson number 2 in the subject of art appreciation. And we will be talking about the artist medium. So what is medium? So what is the purpose of using a medium? So using a medium because you want to communicate your idea through by using a medium. So for example, the architect that uses wood, bamboo, concrete, and various building materials, right? How about the painter? The painter also uses pigments on wood or canvas to recreate reality of nature. A sculpture also uses steel, marble, metal, and wood. Are a musician, you also uses some instrument to produce and communicate a message of a. So if you are a musician, if you love music, you're also using some instrument. So then again, so on the basis of medium, the arts are primarily classified as visual and auditory arts. So when you talk about visual, are those arts whose medium can be seen and which occupy space. Okay? Visual arts are those arts that we perceive with our eyes. It can be seen and which occupy space. So visual arts is also a group into two classes, the two-dimensional and the three-dimensional arts. So how about the auditory arts? So from the word auditory arts are those whose mediums can be heard and which are expressed in time. Okay? So meaning this is real time. So these are music and literature. So we also have the combined arts. So combined arts are those arts whose medium can be seen by our naked eye and can also be heard and which exist in both space and time. Therefore, when you talk about mediums, there are various ways of how an artist uses his own medium just to communicate his idea to the audience or the viewer. So all arts convey meaning, and this may be enjoyed either the visual or the auditory. Trying to ask me, I always prefer to watch both, no? Like I can see it through my eyes, at the same time I can also hear some music, right? Okay, the artist and his medium. So again, the artist thinks, feels, and gives shape to the vision in terms of his medium. So again, the artist, he also loves to think, to feel, and give shape to the vision in terms of his medium. So when an artist chooses a particular medium, he believes that his choice can best express the idea he wants to convey. Again, if you are using this medium, so you always think that this medium is the best way to express your idea or to communicate your idea to the viewers. So the artist must love, respect, and understand his medium to make it easier for him to expand knowledge and improve his skill in his chosen area. Again, if we're going to use medium, you should be able to understand the reason why you are using that kind of medium so that it would be easy for you to expand your knowledge and improve your skill in your chosen area. So how about the artist and his technique? So again, artists differ from one another in technique even if they use the same medium, right? So they have their own technique even if we are using the same medium. Like if I am using instrument, so we are all using instrument, but what makes us different is how we use our own technique in using the same instrument. So technique differs in the various arts. So for example, an artist's technique in one medium will be quite different from his technique in another. So a painter may have a fine technique in using watercolor, but not so fine in using an oil. So the making of a piece of sculpture is not the same as the making of a chair. So we have techniques on how we will use our own medium. While both require technique, knowledge, and competence, creativity apparently comes into play in the work of the sculpture. Again, we are using the same medium, but the question here is our individual technique on how we use that medium in relation to our own competence, knowledge, and skills. So technique thus is an important aspect that distinguishes an art from a craft. Okay, so the mediums of the visual arts. So again, visual arts are those arts that can be perceived with our eyes. So the most common visual arts are painting, sculpture, and architecture. Okay, so you talk about painting, their mediums are the following. They're using what? They are using watercolor, oil, pastel, or acrylic. How about sculpture? So what are their mediums? So when you talk about sculpture, they are good at carving, right? Drawing. So they're also using some wood, stone, metals, clay, plaster, or lime, sand, and water. How about architecture? So what are their mediums? So architecture, one of the primary purpose of architecture is to fulfill man's need. These needs include case of physical needs, emotional needs, intellectual needs, and psychosocial needs. So again, architecture, the main goal of an architect is to fulfill the basic need of humans, like the physical needs, like our shelter, right? Which must have the necessities, like we should have kitchen, bedroom, or bathroom. So it's more about the physical needs of the humans. And the second need is to fulfill for an architect is the emotional needs. So you talk about emotional needs, it endowed with rich beauty and interest. So meaning they are doing that thing because they want to fulfill the emotional need of the viewer or the audience. The third need that architect wants to fulfill is the intellectual need. So what is intellectual need? This is a building for science, education, and government. So as what you can see now, we have a lot of buildings, no? Infrastructure improvement. Like, so this is one of the purpose of an architect to fulfill man's need, like providing buildings, schools, government offices. It's for intellectual need. And the fourth need is the psychosocial need. So psychosocial need, it means that they are doing that because of love, friendship, and sociability. This is for prestige and recognition. That is an example of psychosocial needs. Therefore, if you are an architect, your main goal is to fulfill man's need, like providing them their physical need, emotional needs, intellectual needs, and psychosocial needs. So here are some of the classification of architecture materials. Again, materials used in architecture are classified into three. So if you want to be an architect, so please bear with these materials. Number one materials, the materials found in nature. So you have to find the material that you can see in nature. Materials found in nature. Materials. So number two is the materials manufactured or made by man. The number three materials is indigenous material. Again, materials used in architecture are classified into three: materials found in nature, materials manufactured by man, indigenous material. So what is indigenous material? So this material are found in our locality. So let's discuss about materials in nature. So these materials are direct products of nature given as gift of man. So meaning everything you see from your environment, it's a gift of man. So if you are an architect, so they need that materials in nature. The number two material is materials manufactured by man. So this type of materials constitute the majority of building materials. Meaning they are also needing some building materials to create or to convey their ideas by using their own material. The number three material is the indigenous material. So these materials are found in the locality and are widely used in architecture. Meaning in our locality, what is our common material? So they also need that for an architect. So here are some of the mediums of the performing arts. So let's talk about performing arts. So this is also part of our subject. No, we are not just focused on the visual arts. So we'll also be talking about the mediums of the performing arts. Okay, so performing arts are creative activities presented before an audience, on stage, and in open places. Okay, so performing arts, from the word itself, performing, so meaning it's more on the execution. It includes music, dance, theater arts, and literature. So in this discussion, only music and literature will be discussed. Let's talk about music. I love music. And I don't know if you feel the same way. We all love music. That's why 1990s baby, no? So I think we also love to hear their music, their old music. Okay, music is an art. Culture is reflected in art. Okay, so the more music a man knows, the more cultured he becomes. Do you agree with that statement? The more we can appreciate music, the more that you're able to appreciate your own culture. So the mediums of music are vocal and instrumental music, meaning we will use our vocals and instrumental music. So if you're good at singing, so you sound so good, so you will be invited for an event just to sing, right? So vocal music is the oldest and most natural form of music, because if you are a good singer, it is given by God. You have a good vocals, so it's nice to hear when you sing. So vocal music is the oldest and most natural form of music. Voice is produced by the vibrations of the vocal cords in the voice box. Meaning if you are good at singing, you have a good voice, so therefore you are capable to sing in a more in a in the, you are capable to join some music competition because you have good voice. Instrumental music. So aside from our voice, instruments are the other mediums in producing music. So not just our voice, we also need some instrumental music just to accompany us when we sing. So there are people who are so gifted with singing, they have good voice, even if they don't have a proper training, but it is a gift of man. It is a gift given by God. So I think we all have that feeling, no? There are people who are good at singing but not good in dancing. But if you have a gift like that, so it's nice. It's nice that you're able to embrace that kind of art that is given truly by God. Again, next is the literature. The medium of literature is our language. Okay, so each part of the world has literature written its own language. If you are good at sharing your knowledge, if you are good at storytelling, I think that is part of literature, no? If you are good at history, if you are good at doing that, it's part of our literature. So how about the methods of art production and presentation? So in art production, certain methods are employed for the presentation to be effective. Again, so if you are good at producing some art like this, you need to employ a lot of mediums, no, to make your presentation very effective. So a presentation can only be effective when the artist is able to express the idea he wants to make clear. Again, this is also a gift. So if you are good at producing something like this, so it's good for you. And it really depends on the artist, no, if she or he is capable of expressing his own idea and trying to convey that exact emotion that he felt through his medium. So the different methods of art production and presentation. So there are different methods of art production and presentation. Number one is realism. Number two is abstraction. Number three is symbolism. Number four is fauvism. Number five is dadaism. Six is futurism. Seven is surrealism. And eight is expressionism. So we have 8 methods of art production and presentation. So we will explain that one by one. Let's start with realism. Okay, So what is realism? So in painting, this is the attempt to portray the subject as it is. So if you are a painter, you are trying to convey your subject. You are trying to display your subject. So from the word realism, realistic, realists try to be objective as possible. Okay, so they try to be objective. So they try to express what they really feel on that day. Okay, so realists try to be objective as possible. Here, the artist's main function is to describe as accurately and honestly as possible what is observed through the senses. So, based on your senses, what do you observe? So, they are trying to paint the things that they try to express their own idea as honestly and accurately as possible. So, we can say that an artwork is realistic when the presentation and organization of details in the work seems so natural. So we can say that that paint is very realistic when it is very natural. Okay, so realism is a common way of presenting a subject. Okay, so when you try to portray or convey your subject, it is a perfect example of realism. Example of realist painting are the works of Amor Solo. Okay, so number 2 methods in art production is abstraction. I know that we are all aware what is abstraction. Abstract, from the word abstract. So abstraction is used when the artist becomes so interested in one phase of a scene or a situation that he does not show the subject at all as an objective reality, but only his idea or feeling about it. Again, abstraction, not focused with the subject. They are more focused with their own idea and their own feeling, right? So no subject, their main focus is their idea and their feeling on that subject, but they are not showing the real subject. That is abstraction. So abstract means to move away or separate, meaning to move away or separate. So abstract art moves away from showing things as they really are. They try to move away from showing that the things as they really are. They try to move away from showing things as they really are. So the painter or artist paints the picture not as it really looks, meaning they are trying to shift, no, not showing the details, not showing the exact subject of their paint. So the picture is not just like life, it is rendered not realistic. Meaning this abstraction is not considered as realistic, it is only rendered. Because then again, it is only based on his idea or feeling about the subject. So they ignore the exact forms of real life object. That's why when you see some abstract paint, no, it's really hard to comprehend and you don't know what is really the meaning of that art because of they try to move away or to try to separate their feelings and emotions based on the subject that they are trying to convey. They felt that the texture and shape of a sculpture were more important than the exact form. They move away because they felt that the texture, the shape of the abstract, the shape of the art is more important than the exact form or the subject. Okay, number 3 method is symbolism. So what is symbolism? A symbol, from the word itself, symbol in general, is a visible sign of something invisible, such as an idea or a quality. So, for example, if you're a painter, you are trying to use some symbol to convey your emotion, to communicate your idea to the audience. For example, a lion represents courage or a lamb to represent meekness. Right? So they are using symbols. Okay? So the 4th method is the Fauvism. Again, Fauvism was the first important art movement of the 1900s. So the Fauvists did not attempt to express ethical, philosophical, or psychological theme. Most of these artists tried to paint pictures of comfort, joy, and pleasure, and they use extremely bright colors. That is Fauvism. The 5th method is Dadaism. So the Dadaists reacted to what they believed were outworn traditions in art and the evils they saw in society. They tried to shock and provoke the public with outrageous pieces of writing, poetry recitals, and art exhibition. Meaning they are trying to show or to display some outrageous pieces of writing just to communicate their idea about something. The number 6 method is the futurism. From the word itself, future, it's more on the future. Futurist painters wanted their works to capture the speed and force of modern industrial society. So meaning they want to capture the modern society. Their paintings glorify the mechanical energy of modern life. So they are more focused about future, the fast-paced environment, the changing environment, and that is their focus. They are called as the futurism. Number 7 is the surrealism. So like the Dadaism, who wants to provoke us with some shocking, outrageous pieces of writing, like the Dadaism, from which it arose, surrealism uses art as a weapon against the evil and destruction that surrealists see in society. Meaning, they are just the same with the Dadaism, but they uses art as a weapon. So unlike the Dadaism, it tries to reveal a new and higher quality reality than that of daily life. Surrealism is an invented word meaning super realism. Okay, the number 8 is the expressionism. This is the last method. Okay, so the exponents of expressionism believed in the necessity of spiritual rebirth for man in an age that was fast becoming influenced by materialism. Meaning they believe in the necessity of spiritual rebirth, and the emotional expressions in expressionistic paintings can be described as involving morbidity, violence, or chaos and tragedy. It also sometimes portrays defeat. Okay, so when you talk about mediums, there are a lot of mediums used by an artist, and their technique, although they are using the same mediums, but their technique differ from one another. So the technique is one of the common element that makes us different, that makes the artist different from one another. So they are using a lot of mediums to communicate their feelings, to share their feelings, and to convey the things that they really think it's very important for them. So again, we are all artists in our own little way. We can share, we can express, we can do this. Okay, so there are a lot of classification. You talk about visual arts, auditory arts, but all in all, we are all artists and we can share. We are able to share and we're able to convey our emotion, not in painting, sculpture, architecture, but we can also show it by using our words, our language. Thank you so much for listening. I really do hope that you are learning from all the videos that I've posted. So just keep posted because I'll be posting more something like this. Thank you so much, and I'll see you again for my next video blog. God bless everyone.